This is the No Strings Podcast with Rel Simon. What's up, y'all? Podcast episode 69. No Strings Podcast with Rel Simon. This is the second part of the back-to-back. I just finished recording episode 68 shortly. Athlete Setback, which should drop on September 28th. So by the time you listen to this, it would have already dropped on Sunday, September 28th. And by the time you're listening to this right now, it would be Sunday, October 5th, this is expected to drop, but back to back, I got the momentum rolling. I'm ready to go. Took a nice little break, but back to back, episode 69, brought to you by Spotify. Spotify for podcasts and Spotify for creators. Podcasts available on all platforms. Spotify, Apple, YouTube, iHeartRadio. Also on TikTok at Rel Simon. Instagram at kicksoncanvas_artistry. Let's go. We got the intros and the general housekeeping out of the way. Let's get into episode 69 that is titled Out of the Way. And this is me begging to myself and begging to y'all just to please get out of your own way. Just get out of your own way. Get out of your own way, because sometimes the only thing that's holding yourself back is yourself, is the person in the mirror. I've been getting my own way this year. I hurt myself roller skating this year. Slight fracture, an ankle sprain. That led to some minor medical expenses, physical therapy fees. It was a learning experience, learning moment. I'm right now addicted to wrestling cards. This time last October, right? It's starting to get into October is when I had my whole TikTok addiction. So it's almost been about a year or so when I've gotten to this whole thing, but have not spent a dime on TikTok at all year. I mean, I kind of got away from TikTok, and I'm on Whatnot and Fanatics Live and eBay. I'm addicted to wrestling cards. I spend with no hesitation on eBay, Whatnot, Fanatics Live. I'm out here watching live card breaks. My heart rate is elevated when I'm watching, and I just hope that my spending will pay off on a huge card pool. And I have my apps. I have my Quick and Simplify. I check my net worth statement, try to check my transactions and my reports and my sort of habits and history. And I just know from the goal I set earlier this year that I'm behind on my emergency savings goal this year. I'm behind on maxing out my Roth IRA this year. But I know for me that hope is not lost. For me to be able to put the negatives out there and just be real and confessing, this is just serving for me as a key moment to continue to get back on track. I know that for me, I get hesitant when I spend money or make a big purchase. I get hesitant when I overspend. I be hesitant when I'm buying into these breaks and these cards and all that type of stuff. Or sometimes it's not even that. It's just like I just do it and get it out of the way. Put it on the credit card and I'll get back to it later or something. I don't know. But I know for me, I just have to just relax sometimes and just realize that I'm in a good spot, still with good health, with a good net worth. Doing good work in the church and just trying to just do good. And I've had some good experiences and a pretty good summer, I'd say socially thus far. So, and those little smaller purchases I can't really sweat over. But, we sometimes block ourselves. We hold ourselves back. And we need to learn to fully unleash. We tend to deny our own momentum towards success. I'm going to read a snippet excerpt from Millionaire Mission, Brian Preston, one of the co-hosts of the Money Guys show. I bought this book last year. I remember going to his thing. I forget which episode was that. It was called titled Mission Accepted. So I did an episode about that. And I finally finished reading the book I'm recording this on Saturday, the 27th, is when I finished. Today is when I finished reading the book. You won't hear this till next Sunday, like I said. You'll hear this on October 5th, but whatever. I finally finished reading the book today after a whole year. Partly because I want to get into other books, that the Anthony O'Neill book and that Rose Hahn book. I'm trying to get my reading back, but I'm going to read right here. Just a few bullet points from pages 194 and 195 from Millionaire Mission, a 9-step system to level up your finances and build wealth by Brian Preston. Just 5 of these bullet points. First one is, we are wired for instant gratification. Our desire to maximize the moment and load up on instant gratification can lead us astray when it comes to making sound financial decisions. That's why we often struggle with saving for the future or sticking to a budget. Present bias is a real issue. Money can be an emotional roller coaster. We like to think of ourselves as rational beings, but when it comes to money, emotions can run wild. Whether it's fear, greed, envy, or even the joy of a windfall, we are emotional creatures, and that significantly impacts our financial decisions. Understanding our emotions and how they can manipulate us into bad decisions is crucial for maintaining financial stability and making smart choices. Comparison is a thief of joy. Social comparison affects our financial decisions. We often gauge our success or failure based on how we stack up against those around us. Grow beyond this mental trap. The only financial journey that matters is your own. Focus on your goals and values and don't let comparisons derail your progress and future success. Losses hurt more. It's a peculiar quirk of human nature that losses have a greater impact on us than gains of the same magnitude. This phenomenon, known as loss aversion, can influence our risk tolerance and investment decisions. I imagine this served us well in earlier times for survival, but in our modern world, you will need to balance this mental struggle. And finally, money can't buy happiness, but it can buy peace of mind. Having a solid foundation allows us to pursue our passions, spend time with loved ones, and have a safety net in case of emergencies. So while money might not bring happiness on its own, it can certainly enhance our overall well-being. There's a well-known quote that many seem to be taking credit for. Quote, I've been poor and I've been rich. Rich is better, end quote. So that was from Millionaire Mission. And we are. Instant gratification. I want that now. I need that now. I want this. I want that. I'm a folly to that. I am a victim of that. Money can be an emotional roller coaster. I think both on the number side, because one day you may be up and then you may be down, especially if you're an investor or you're a day trader, or you're looking at your stocks. Even if you're not a day trader, you're looking at things go up, things go down. It's not only an emotional roller coaster, because you do have those ebbs and flows of when you win or lose, but you have those moments where the momentum stops and starts and stops and starts, literally and visually in your account. Think about a gambler. You're up 500, then you're down 400. You're up 600, then you're down 800. Right. And he said comparison is a thief of joy. So, society shapes a lot of us. How we eat, think, sleep, where we live. We're judged by our social and economic status. We're judged by our religion. We're judged by our skin color. And for some people, there's a level of acceptance or just wanting to be part of a society, to be part of a group. Loneliness is an epidemic. Being an isolationist is not a healthy practice. But sometimes there are certain people who force you into that bubble. There are times where you just want to show off, and you're showing off the wrong things in the wrong ways for the wrong people. losses hurt more. I think there is that fear of the unknown, everything that you built up. But there are a lot of people who have faltered and risen. Think about your Warren Buffett, your Steve Jobs. You think about Amazon, Microsoft, Google. Some of your favorite sports teams, they have owners that may have had a setback and they rise above it. And then, of course, in your own risky plays or moves, you're trying to save a bunch of money and then you get into something, or you save a bunch of money, you buy into a house, and the home inspection may have been a little bit shoddy, and you may have some mold hidden behind the walls, or like some hidden asbestos that wasn't seen at one point. And you have to go through, from what you deemed a very strenuous process and a very time-consuming and financial process, to try and go back and salvage something that you thought was pristine and perfect. You know, we hate to lose. I just had the last episode as an athlete. For all the things I talked about in episode 68 with athlete setbacks. And this essentially is, while that was athlete setbacks, this is just a sort of down to real earth, human, everyday person setback episode. I could have titled that for real, but for all the things I talked about for the athletes in the last episode, one of the things is losing matters, winning matters. Not only the skill, but losing matters and winning matters. Losing in life, this so perceived method of losing in life matters. This so perceived winning in life matters. So the loss does hurt more. And of course, the tried and true adage, money can't buy happiness, but it can buy peace of mind. You need those cushions. You need those breathing rooms. You need that emergency fund. The kids are going to cry. The kids will need clothes. The daycare is expensive. Cars break down. Things happen. You roller skate, you fall, and you slightly fracture your ankle, and you sprain your ankle. So a lot of that is sometimes it's just going for broke, and again, getting out of your own way. Looking at that person in the mirror, maybe breaking that glass, punching that glass, or cracking it, or just throwing the mirror away, and going for broke. Being more aggressive with your spending and your saving, and even educating yourself on these different programs and these different routines where you can continue to increase your financial income. And always, that's the problem with instant gratification, because you want it now, versus when you're saving for retirement, it's like you can't touch that money for 10, 20, 30 years from now. And so a lot of it is, I need it now. I don't know if I'm going to live that long. I can't guarantee that. So there is some of that, always living in the present. And I've said this in podcast episodes before in the past, where you kind of have to, your mind and body are in the present. It's like your body is fully here and entrenched in this present time and making sure all the systems are running. But you're constantly back of your mind, you're kind of thinking about the future, or you're kind of speculating about what tomorrow is going to bring. You have to. Because you have to be optimistic enough to look towards tomorrow and be optimistic and prayerful enough or faithful enough to know that tomorrow is actually going to come, that you will wake up the next day. And it's really just in closing, and this is just a real short podcast, but I wanted to kind of just push it out there. Despite the socioeconomic, political, and racial climate that we currently live in this 2025, I strongly believe in the ability and the power of optimism. I'm optimistic that my net worth will continue to increase. I'm optimistic that I'm finally getting married and having children. I said I put the wrong word in there. I'm optimistic in the concept of finally getting married and having children. Not getting married yet, not having children yet. I'm just optimistic in the future. I'm still, trying to set for that. And I'm optimistic in your own success. I thank you for listening to this episode. If this is your first episode, or your fifth, second, fifth, 10th, whatever, if you listen since all the way back in the day, I'm optimistic in your own success. I can believe that you can extinguish your own financial fires and overcome all of your setbacks. and know that not everything is your fault. But at the same time, there are moments and there are forks in the road where you deny yourself from going to that next level. You may deny yourself from getting that next degree, that job. Rose Hahn, again, the title of the book is adding a zero. You may come across a situation where you add a zero. You don't want to deduct a zero, but you want to add a zero. I can't wait to start reading that book. But just something to think about. Really think about yourself, where you are, and what you can do. And being financially savvy is a skill, such an important skill. Having this amount of money or having an emergency fund, you're in the upper echelon if you have those things. You're doing better off than you may think. But there are some factors where you require self-control and you need a self-release to break free from whatever may be holding you back. So, episode 69, get out of your own way. And you may be in somebody else's way. Get out of their way. And then tell them to get out of their own way. How about that? How about that? And that's all, right? Keep saving and investing, and then save and invest, and then save and invest some more, and then save and invest some more, pretty much, right? The athletes have their setback. I talked about the setbacks in the last episode, which was recorded like an hour or so ago. So it's still fresh in my mind. And it's almost kind of feels like a sequel. But what about the human setback, the average Joe setback, the average Joe and the average Jane setback? We got to get out of our way. Like I mentioned in the last episode, some of the things that the athletes deal with, we deal with as well in real life. Baby mama, baby daddy, trials and tribulations, child support on the man or child support on the woman. Manipulation by a financial advisor, manipulation by a home inspector. They inspect your home wrong or something. That family member, that uncle, that cousin always asking for money. Let me hold $20 until. So, sometimes you gotta get out of your own way. You gotta get out of other people's way. And you gotta make sure they move out of your way. Like you literally get out of their way. If you see something bad coming, it's like you're in the street, a car's coming, you don't want to get hit by a car. You got to get out, move. You got to move and go. So life comes at you fast, but just be prepared for them setbacks and learn to stop denying yourself from your true potential and continue to ride a wave of momentum. All right, y'all, that's all I got for y'all for this little kind of sort of quick one. This was fun, and this was the first time me doing this. In essence, back-to-back on the same day within the same space. I got time today on this particular Saturday. But again, you're listening to this on Sunday, October 5th, the scheduled date of release. And so thanks for sticking around. 69 episodes. I got 2 out the way. Now I don't even know what number 70 is going to be. But sometimes when these things just come to me, like, what else can I do? How can this episode be different from the next, right? So that's all I got for y'all for this episode. Episode 69, titled Out of the Way, No Strings Podcast with Rel Simon. Thank you for listening and have a good day. Thank you for listening to the No Strings Podcast with Rel Simon.